What's going on, everyone? Happy 4th of July. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe, having a great day so far. Welcome to the 4th of July weather update for Thursday, July 4th, 2024. If you're new to this channel, this is where I do the daily weather update for the United States, and I talk about the tropical weather as well. On this Independence Day, we are going to be talking about Hurricane Beryl, and I will give you the latest forecast for all the United States, which does include some fireworks from Mother Nature on her own. Yes, thunderstorms are in the forecast for many places today, as is extreme heat. So we will give you all those details in today's update. If you're new here, subscribe down below and welcome to my channel. Give these videos a thumbs up by hitting that like button. The more people that hit that like button, the more YouTube will push this content throughout the algorithm. Of course, share these videos with anyone you know. The more people we keep informed, the better. And hit that notification bell and leave your comments down below. Hey, let me know, how am I doing with these videos? Okay, starting off with Hurricane Beryl. Hurricane Beryl does still remain a Category 3 at this time. It is not as organized as it once was. It's continuing to slowly lose its strength. It's heading towards the Yucatan Peninsula and will eventually make landfall on the Yucatan Peninsula. Let's take a look at the latest numbers from the Hurricane Center. Center of Beryl passing southwest of Grand Cayman Island. Strong winds, dangerous storm surge, and damaging waves expected in the Cayman Islands this morning. And as of 8 a.m., it's moving west-northwest at 20 miles per hour. Its minimum pressure is 968 millibars. Its maximum sustained winds are at 120 miles per hour. So it does continue to weaken. And we take a look at the satellite picture once again. You can see here, there's a lot of moving pieces to the west of the storm. That's wind shear. So wind shear makes things hostile. And tropical storms don't like wind shear, and wind shear pretty much weakens the storm or prevents it from further strengthening or developing. Taking a look at the latest track from the National Hurricane Center, you can see where it is at 8 a.m. today, and overnight tonight, after midnight, probably sometime between 2 and 4 a.m., it will make landfall on the Yucatan Peninsula and will eventually go over Mexico and then go back into the Gulf of Mexico. At first, it will be a tropical storm when it re-enters the Gulf of Mexico, so it's going to weaken over the Yucatan Peninsula, but it will slowly try to get its act together, and right before it makes landfall, either in Mexico, right now the National Hurricane Center is going with a hurricane at Mexico, but take a look at the cone of uncertainty. It could shift south. It could still shift north into Texas. It's going to be very close to that Texas border right now. Right before it makes landfall, regardless of where it does, there is a window of opportunity where it could strengthen once again. And at this time, the intensity looks to be a weak hurricane at landfall. And that would happen 2 a.m. Monday morning here, based on what the Hurricane Center is saying. You can see right along the Mexico coastline, about maybe 50 miles south of Texas. Could this shift north back into Texas? It still could happen, and I will show you why on the models. Taking a look first at the tropical plots, you can see the vast majority of the plots do go into Mexico. However, there are some plots here that do turn more north and take it up into Texas. And you can see here, there's several of these members of the tropical plots that do go north, and then there's just one member that doesn't make a right turn and ends up making a left turn and goes way south into Mexico. Not agreeing with that model right now. It's really on its own. HFBI, that one is all on its own. Let's take a look at intensity. You can see all the models agree that it's going to continue to weaken some. There's just one model that only weakens it slightly and keeps it a Category 2 for the duration of the time that it goes over to Yucatan Peninsula. And then there are many that weaken it significantly down to a tropical storm. And I do agree with that happening. Again, if we go back to the satellite picture, we can see it's not all that organized at this time. Even though it is still 120 miles per hour, you can't even really see the eyewall on here. There is still a weak eye, but it is very disorganized compared to what it looked like just 24 to 30 hours ago. It looked like a much healthier storm. All right, let's take a look at the GFS. Here we go. GFS does have it in the current position, and it continues to weaken. You can see the pressures start to come up. Now, don't pay all too much attention to the pressures on the GFS because you can see here at initialization, it doesn't even show the correct amount, but you get the idea here. The pressure is going to rise, not drop. And once it goes over the Yucatan Peninsula, it may even go back up to the upper 990s to maybe near 1000 millibars. But once you enter the Gulf of Mexico, you can see here, even on the GFS, though at first it doesn't start to strengthen once again, it will eventually. It's going to be a slow process. And you can see as you get closer to Mexico and Texas, here's that window of opportunity. There's going to be a 12 to, we'll say, 18-hour period where it does have an opportunity for strengthening. But there is a wild card at play within this. Some suggestions are out there that maybe this system slows down slightly as it gets close to landfall. Should that happen, there will be more time for it to strengthen. There will be more time for a right-hand turn. And, well, that would be a stronger system and a higher chance of it going into Texas. Now, if we take a look here, look at the GFS. And we're going to switch views here to the south central U.S. view. You can really see how close this is to the Mexico-Texas border. And there's something else that happens. Once it goes over land, over Mexico, it does make an abrupt right turn, but it slows down a little bit. Look at that heavy rainfall. That is a ton of rainfall. We're talking about a foot plus of rain. Plus, you also have the storm surge that comes in from this entering over land. It would probably be a Category 1 hurricane when it makes landfall according to the GFS, but should that turn happen a little bit sooner while it's still over water, well, it gets more time to strengthen, and then we have to watch the area of the southeast Texas coastline, because then that would become a concern. There is something else I want to show you. Let's switch back to just a wide view, and I want to show you the GEFS, which is the GFS ran several different times. And we are going to switch back to the Western Atlantic view, and here we go. You can see here, here's the storm, here's Beryl. Beryl continues westward. It goes over the Yucatan Peninsula. But look at this northern side of the mean. Basically what the mean is the average of all the members. And you can see the north side of the mean, there are several members that do make that right-hand turn a little bit faster. So we'll really have to watch this. There is still time where modeling could shift back to the north some. And if that right turn does happen faster, which even the mean here, we can see there's two camps. One to the north, one that takes the National Hurricane Center track, which obviously right now we'll go with what the Hurricane Center's saying. Always follow the National Hurricane Center for the most up-to-date advice. They are really the real meteorologists and the professionals. I'm just here to help you out and to help you plan ahead for what's going on and to help keep you safe. So again, you can see here, one camp of members goes to the north, another camp goes to the south. We will have to watch what happens over time, and we should start to get a better idea of this tomorrow and especially Saturday morning as to whether or not these more northern members are actually onto something. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the U.S. Well, you can see there's a lot going on. The National Hazards Map has hazards galore today. Now, if you're up in New England, you're probably thinking, well, there's not much going on up there. You're actually looking at a very nice and pleasant 4th of July today. There may be some showers, but overall, you're not going to have to deal with the heat in the southeast, or the heat that's expected from D.C. on up to Philadelphia, or the extreme heat that's going to happen in the West Coast. And take a look at this. In between today, we do have another flooding threat, which is actually ongoing right now across portions of Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, and Indiana, and even eastern Kansas. On the West Coast, we're still looking at that extreme heat. Temperatures well over 100 degrees. Heat index, yes, in some places, could get over 120 degrees. That is really extremely dangerous. Please limit your time outdoors and remember to hydrate and drink as much water as possible, and do not overwork yourself outside. Same thing goes if you're in the southeast. Please hydrate and keep cool. Stay in air conditioning. Even the Pacific Northwest, it is going to be really hot for you as well, with temperatures that could reach or go over 100 degrees and heat indexes at or over 105 degrees. So this is dangerous heat. Please check on your elderly neighbors. All right, taking a look at what's going on with radar. We can see there is an area of heavy rain going through Indianapolis this morning. Springfield, Illinois. St. Louis, you had some rain earlier. You're starting to clear out for now. We do see a cluster of thunderstorms to the southeast of St. Louis in South Illinois. We'll keep our eyes on that throughout the day. And we can see here the rest of the country, aside from the Dakotas, is relatively quiet this morning. Just some showers along the Gulf Coast and across portions of southern Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida Panhandle. Not too concerned about that right now. And let's take a look at the Weather Prediction Center for today. We do note that there is a slight risk of excessive rainfall across portions of the Midwest and across where we have those flood watches in Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, even back into Oklahoma today, and a large marginal risk area surrounding that. A lot of places are going to see showers and thunderstorms for today. Day 2. Large marginal risk tomorrow from the Great Lakes back into the Mid-Atlantic, all the way southwest through Louisiana, Texas, and New Mexico. And day 3, there is also the risk of some excessive rainfall from Texas, Louisiana, Gulf Coast states right on up the East Coast, all the way up to New York City. And then there is also a threat in the plains and portions of Iowa as well. Severe weather. Yesterday there were 2 tornado reports, wind reports 76 with 4 being high, hail reports 47, 5 being large, and 125 storm reports total. And I suspect today will probably be at or around the same, may even be slightly less for today. Let's take a look at today's outlook, and we can see here there is a fairly decent sized slight risk that goes from Oklahoma straight on through Missouri and into the Ohio Valley, and then there also is a slight risk across Iowa, Minnesota, and portions of Wisconsin, with a large marginal risk just southwest of Philadelphia. Does include D.C., Baltimore, all the way back into Texas and all the way up into the Midwest as well. So there will be some severe weather to be had today. 5% risk of tornado now across northern Kentucky, portions of Ohio like Cincinnati, south of Indianapolis, and Illinois as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that aspect as well. There's also 15% chance for wind within this and 15% chance of wind further to the north. Hail as well. If there was anywhere that would get upgraded to an enhanced risk, it would be this area right here, Cincinnati, Kentucky, south of Indianapolis. That would be the only area that gets upgraded to an enhanced risk. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. And tomorrow, there's just a marginal risk across portions of western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, you're right on the border of that, West Virginia, and Kentucky. And tomorrow, we're just looking at wind. That's the only real threat for tomorrow. Day 3, marginal risk in the central plains. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. There could be a few hailstorms, maybe even a wind threat as well. So over a period of time, that could get upgraded to a slight risk. Let's take a look at what happens with the HER model for today. And you can see that current warm front does lift to the northeast. And south of that, an area of low pressure does get going, and you can see here some showers and thunderstorms develop this evening, and we're actually going to change the view here to the northeast real quickly. Actually, no, north central, because I want to zoom in on what happens in the Ohio Valley. And you can see here, we do have these showers and thunderstorms, some of them becoming supercells and these discrete cells. That's where your tornado threat does evolve, and unfortunately, take a look at the timing here. Overnight, that is fireworks time, and we're coming into nighttime hours, so if there is a tornado threat that does occur, it could happen overnight. And nocturnal tornado threats are often dangerous because, it's dark out. You can't actually see the tornado. You also note here there's an area of low pressure that gets going across Minnesota overnight tonight. There could be some isolated severe storms. The Storm Prediction Center, let's go back for a second. Let's go back to the one-day outlook. Storm Prediction Center is only going with 2% chance of a tornado there, but if we take a look at the 12Z HER, you can see here, clusters of storms do get going. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's an isolated tornado warning, and overnight tonight, across portions of Arkansas and Missouri, another round of thunderstorms does get going, and we'll have to watch that because it's going to push into Tennessee, it's going to push into portions of Mississippi and Alabama. There could be some heavy rainfall with it. An isolated storm or two could get warned for maybe some wind. We'll keep an eye on it. You do note a broken up squall line does try to get going, and anytime that happens, sometimes you do get isolated wind threats, and you can see tomorrow's threat that does occur across western Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia. Louisiana, you get in under thunderstorms and some heavier thunderstorm activity tomorrow across the Florida Panhandle. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for isolated flash flooding. And as we head into tomorrow night, you do note here on the HER model, there is some stronger thunderstorms across New England. Would not surprise me because this is ahead of a front and an area of low pressure, relatively impressive disturbance. Wouldn't surprise me if a marginal risk gets added up there. This could actually turn into a minor severe weather threat where there are a few severe thunderstorm warnings tomorrow evening and overnight Friday night, and this does continue in the Northeast. You will get showers and thunderstorms continuing into Saturday morning, and the threat of showers and thunderstorms will continue along the East Coast. I'll show you that here. You can see here. Here comes Hurricane Beryl down to the south. But look what happens here. This boundary, it kind of just stalls right over the East Coast along the coastal areas. So we'll have to watch that, and eventually it could get pushed back to the northwest, and then another boundary comes in. So a much more unsettled pattern does set up in portions of the east. Now let's take a look at the latest drought conditions. This is not good. Things continue to get drier in the east. Hopefully we will see some improvement with what's expected to come with these boundaries and disturbances that will ride along the boundary. You do need rainfall down in Texas, so any rainfall that comes from Beryl will actually be welcomed, especially if it can make its way more northwest to western Texas. And New Mexico, you need rainfall as well. The plains are a little too dry for the liking. Could you do with some rainfall there? And the Pacific Northwest, this is not good. Really dry with that hot weather coming. We have to start concerning ourselves with wildfires. Finally, taking a look at the days 1 through 7 precipitation, you can see things do get weather across portions of the east where the rainfall is needed, and there is some rainfall that's going to happen for Texas. We saw that from Beryl, but western Texas, you don't get much of anything, and the west coast, hardly a drop of rainfall. I think by the time we get to the second half of this month, or maybe even the middle of the month, I think we're going to see more wildfires starting to occur out there, just between the heat and extreme dry conditions. And if you get any wind, please, if you're on the West Coast today, please limit your firework activity. Just don't do it. Leave it to the professionals. It is way too dry. Let's take a look at this map again. If you're in any of these areas, really, if you're in any of these areas where it's really extremely dry, western Texas included and New Mexico, please limit the firework activity in these areas. I know fireworks are fun, but when conditions are too dry, fireworks can lead to wildfires, and no one wants wildfires because, well, that can destroy the forest, and that can also put people's lives, homes, businesses at risk because wildfires do spread rapidly, especially in dry areas. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Thursday, 4th of July edition of the Weather Update. We'll probably have a YouTube short again this afternoon if the severe weather does pan out as it's expected, or if things get more interesting than expected, especially in the Ohio Valley. That will probably be our target point. Have a safe and happy 4th of July, everyone. If you're going to celebrate with family, hey, just have a great day and do so safely, and just keep an eye to the sky if you're anywhere where severe thunderstorms are expected today, or if you're in the area where it's going to be hot, please stay hydrated. Alright, I will see you all again next time. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Share this with anyone you know. Hit that notification bell and leave your comments down below. Let me know how I am doing on these updates. I will see you all again next time. Thanks for watching.